The Baltimore Ravens are the kings of the AFC North, and they will be kings again of the AFC North. We'll discuss it here in just a second.
The barbershop is open, and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How about that? Somebody spitting facts already. It is your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen. It is your team every day. Shout out to the everydayers that join us each and every day here on Locked On NFL. We appreciate you. And if you're new, we'll give you a reason to hang around. I'm here today with my co-host, my main man, David Harrison of Locked On Commanders. Both he and I are credentialed members of the media, with our finger not only on the pulse of the team that we cover, but on the pulse of all of these teams. We're going to use clips from local guests and hosts from around our Locked On Podcast Network to give you an inside look at what's going on with some of these teams. All right, we decided to go over the NFC and AFC North today on today's show. A show that is brought to you and sponsored by Mazda. Just like there's more to every player, more dedication, more attention to detail, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Stay tuned later in the episode for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. All right, let's go ahead and proceed and tell you what today's show is about. Teams that can surprise in both the NFC and AFC North. The big battle, not surprise teams, but the two teams we think going to get down with it for the division in the NFC North. But we're going to start in the AFC North, and as you heard at the beginning of the show, I think it's all about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Dave, do you agree?
I think that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, yes, are going to win the AFC North. I do. But I don't think it's going to be without significant competition.
You know what? I think we're on the same page already. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and roll out my man, Kevin Ostrich. He's already complaining about the narratives about Lamar Jackson. Check this out.
There will be loud conversations about Lamar Jackson throughout the season. That, to me, is a lose-lose situation because, again, if they win games, people are just going to say, well, do it in the playoffs, do it in the playoffs, do it in the playoffs. If they start losing games or they lose a game they're supposed to win, and sometimes that happens with the Ravens, we know, then those conversations around the Ravens and Lamar just grow even louder. That, to me, is probably what's going to happen. We got to brace for it. We got to be ready for it. But, you know, I think that there are ways to have conversations about Lamar Jackson that say, hey, he has to be better in some areas, has to be better in certain moments, while also saying, okay, but you know what? In some of these other games, he has been able to step up to the plate.
Dude's in his late 20s, man. And you think his career was about to be over the way they talk about him. And if he doesn't win a championship, they're not going to back off until he wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you know the thing about Lamar Jackson, and I think this is just the truth. If I can get the words out, he's new media, man. He's new media. So for those who don't know, understand what I'm talking about. Old media hates new media, and it doesn't matter what generation you're in. Newspaper hated television. Television hates YouTube. YouTube hates. I don't even know what we hate. What do we hate, Wig? But old media, everything new becomes old, and then once you're old, something new comes in, and you hate new, right? Everything that principle applies to every business. Well, guess what? Lamar Jackson never looked like a quarterback that should succeed in the National Football League. That's why you had so many people talking about, oh, he's got a really good arm for running back and all this other. You should convert to wide receiver and does all this other stuff, right? According to old school mentality NFL evaluation, whether it come from the media side or inside the league in general, or a mixture of both, which I think it's a mixture of both, right? He wasn't supposed to work. And you look through history, and guys who weren't supposed to work, usually they don't work. The Tim Tebows of the world, they don't pan out, right? They don't become what you think they're going to become. So when one guy becomes what you never said he could become, they don't like it. And people are hard-headed, and people don't want to let go of it. I know we would all love for Lamar Jackson to get praised like the Tom Brady's, like the Patrick Mahomes, like even the Jaden Daniels of the world. But let's be honest, like Lamar Jackson had to, I don't want to say crawl, because this man ain't crawled a day in his life. I don't think he went from born to walking and running. Like, this man never crawled as a baby. But to fit the analogy, right, Lamar Jackson had to crawl for Jaden Daniels to be able to run. Make no mistake about it. But there's still just that hang up in people's minds that this dude was never supposed to be this caliber of a quarterback. So anything we can do to pick. This is where I think if you're Kevin Ostrich and you're locked on Ravens and you're a Ravens fan, you got to remember sometimes criticism is not hate. Sometimes criticism is jealousy, and sometimes criticism is embarrassment when it comes to Lamar Jackson. Like if Lamar Jackson never wins a Super Bowl, Wig, he's going to be right there next to Dan Marino as great quarterbacks that never won a Super Bowl. It's going to be painful. It's going to suck, but take nothing away from his greatness. The greatness is still there, whether he gets a ring or not. You just need him to get a ring in order to shut these people up finally, finally, just finally.
Yeah.
That's my Lamar Jackson soapbox. I'm going to end it right there. That's my Lamar Jackson soapbox.
And guess what? You are 100% right. They act like John Elway wasn't an old man when he won those two at the end of his career.
Come on.
Don't get me started.
Getting helicoptered at the goal line. Had no business doing that stuff. You got Terrell Davis back there. Let him do that.
Yeah, man. They do have some stiff competition, though. It's their rival. And their rival is very solid in the trenches on both sides of the ball this year. They're going to commit back to the running game. They're going to ask one of the greatest passes I've ever seen and first ballot with a bullet, Super Bowl champion, Hall of Fame Aaron Rodgers. They're just going to ask him to manage the game and maybe be Superman once or twice to DK Metcalf. Almost a little monkey wrench in their program, though, with their defensive line. They had a scare a couple of weeks ago. Here's Chris Carter.
Hey, everyone. Chris Carter here from the Locked On Steelers podcast, giving you a report from Steelers training camp after a Saturday practice, August 23rd. It was the first Steelers practice since their preseason win over the Carolina Panthers, and all eyes were to Derek Harmon and more news on how his knee injury would be. Now, Mike Tomlin said after the game it was a sprain. My colleague Jerry Dulac at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reporting it's an MCL sprain and that they expect him to be back no later than after week 1 of the regular season. Of course, good news for Derek Harmon, whose knee injury initially looked like it could have been serious and maybe season ending, but that's not the case. Mike Tomlin also confirmed to us today after practice that the injury indeed is more week to week than a long-term injury. We talked to Derek Harmon. He actually said the injury occurred the play before the interception when people thought the injury occurred. So good news for him that he's to be back on track. He's focused on rehab. We'll update more of you on that information and other players who are coming back from injury here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Follow us on your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube. We'll see you there.
Man, this Pittsburgh's offseason reminds me of when Duke got tired of Kentucky getting all those one and dones, and they start getting one and dones because Pittsburgh did something that they don't normally do. They went in free agency and started trading for people and went absolutely ballistic, but they could do that because of their investment in their trenches and the fact that they got edge rushers, the fact that they got a pretty solid offensive line, and the fact that they're a familiar team and they got one way of doing things, and they're just going to do more of that this year.
Yeah, look, they could do that too because I think they're starting to get a little bit weary and tired of Mike Tomlin's I do nothing but win in the regular season. You want to talk about a franchise that gets criticized for not being able to put the ball over the goal line. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin get criticized more than a lot of these franchises. And look, I'm not even saying some of this criticism isn't warranted. We'll go back to Lamar Jackson. Listen, if you want people to stop talking about your postseason record, start winning in the postseason, bro. Like that's a whole different conversation. But anyway, Pittsburgh Steelers, 1,000%, you're 100% right, Wig. They are the biggest contenders to the AFC North crown against the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm telling you right now, Aaron Rodgers, Wig, we can rewind the tape. If you're an everydayer here on Locked On NFL, you can pull all the receipts of all the times David Harrison made fun of Aaron Rodgers, poked fun of Aaron Rodgers, talked down about Aaron Rodgers. But let me tell you something. The New York Jets didn't do the key things that you just talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers doing when they brought in Aaron Rodgers. When they brought in A-Rod, they said, listen, this is a short term. This is a U-Haul. We got to go get a new exhaust for this U-Haul. We got to put spinning rims on this U-Haul. We got to go get a turbo for this U-Haul because this man is not a Corvette. This man will get us over the line, but we got to put all the gear around him. So that's what they do with DK Metcalf. That's what they did with that defense. The Pittsburgh Steelers are bringing in an old quarterback the right way. The New York Jets were arrogant. They said, we got enough pieces. You bring you and all your retirement buddies with you. We got enough pieces to help you out. No, you didn't. The Pittsburgh Steelers are doing it the right way. Go all in. F them picks if you need to. Get the weapons you need around this man to help elevate him.
We're about to have some fun, man, because we're going to get to the NFC North. And I don't know if I played this clip for you. I don't think I've seen you since this happened, but Peter Bukowski lost his mind when Micah Parsons got traded to the Green Bay Packers. We'll discuss that in just a second here on Locked On NFL. This is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it, because these moments do more than win. They push what's possible. They remind us to go that extra yard, shift into that extra gear, and keep moving the game forward. Travis Hunter, case in point, played both ways at Colorado, was the best wide receiver and the best defensive back in college football, and now he aims to do that starting this weekend with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's what keeps fans and players alike moving forward, always chasing the next great moment. And when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like that, there's more to every highlight. There's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. That's right. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while the industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. If you need parts for a fast project, Supply House has next day delivery. Talk about a game changer, man. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and the dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. There he is. We rode along with my man David Harrison from Locked On Commanders. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of Locked On NFL's The Barbershop. We got to talk about the NFC North. Who do we believe is going to be a contender, and who is going to reign supreme in the NFC North? Well, I already thought Green Bay was going to win it, and then something happened, and now I really think they're going to win it. But I wanted David to hear Peter Bukowski lose his composure.
I can't believe they did it. Micah Parsons is a Green Bay Packer. I'm Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers, and I am at a loss for words right now. This was discussed. It was rumored. It was insinuated. It was everything. And I know a lot of Packer fans did not believe it was possible, did not believe Brian Gutekunst would ever do it. And he has made the big move they said he would never make. I said this makes the Green Bay Packers, if they make this trade, the favorites in the NFC. I stand by it. The Packers are now the favorites in the NFC. Yes, he is now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. It is worth it for a player as good as Micah Parsons. He is, at worst, the second best defensive player in the NFL.
Listen, he's right. He's at worst the second best player in the NFL. I wonder if he's going to go down as the best defensive player to ever play for Green Bay. That's a high order because you got the ministry of defense, the late, great Reggie White. But I think Peter has a reason to be all happy. I know you happy Micah Parsons is gone out of the NFC East.
You know, so that was brought up, and a lot of people say, well, look, the Commanders got to play the Packers in week 2. They certainly do. And you probably don't see him in the playoffs. Let me tell you something. If the second time you got to see Micah Parsons is in the playoffs, you're okay with that. If he's with the Cowboys, you're going to see him twice a year. Not might see him twice a year, one of those times being the postseason. You're going to see him twice a year. You might see him 3 times a year, with one of those times being the postseason. So you take Micah Parsons. If he can't be in Washington, the next best thing, honestly, would be him being in the AFC. The next best thing is obviously just a different NFC team. So you'll take it. Peter Bukowski absolutely has every reason to be excited that Micah Parsons is with the Green Bay Packers. Peter Bukowski is also absolutely wrong that this makes the Green Bay Packers the NFC favorite. But I love the hype, and I'm here for it. Man, run your race, take your lap. I love it. I hope Packers fans are excited because absolutely they got a dog in Micah Parsons. And look, if Micah Parsons is on the Green Bay Packers roster, maybe they beat the Philadelphia Eagles last year in the wild card round. Who knows? If Micah Parsons is on the Rams roster, maybe they do beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the divisional round. So, this is definitely a difference maker. We'll see how the back injury goes. That scares the crap out of me. I honestly think that's probably the biggest reason that the Cowboys didn't re-sign him, didn't extend him, is because of that back injury. They went through back injury issues with Tony Romo, don't forget. So they've kind of been down this road before. So I think that's the big reason. But, man, I mean, this makes the week 2 matchup with the Commanders a totally different story. I equally can't wait to do that crossover with Peter, and also dread doing that crossover with Peter, because let Micah Parsons do something stupid and have 4 sacks in week 1. Wig, that entire crossover is just going to be Peter talking about Micah Parsons.
You ain't gonna stand a chance. I might just pop in just to hang out and see what's going on, like the dude that pops at the barbershop who just had a haircut yesterday and just hangs around there all day. I'm telling you, that's what it's gonna be like.
But Micah Parsons is one of those players. As I travel around the league, he's one of those guys that, like, you're thankful you do this job when you get to watch him play. So getting to watch him play in Lambeau, that's going to be an incredible moment for me personally. Look, NFC North, absolutely. And I think that's what this move is all about. Goody Kuntz looked at the NFC North and said, you got Caleb Williams out there struggling, Ben Johnson out there, brand new head coach, learning his job on the fly. Minnesota Vikings out there with J.J. McCarthy, a quarterback that came from a run-first offense in Michigan, who has a pass-first offense in the NFL, and the Detroit Lions, who are replacing both of their coordinators. This is the time for the Green Bay Packers to make a move just like this one. Go get your division. Go get maybe a bye week in the NFC playoffs where Peter Bukowski take another victory lap and see what you can do in the tournament. So it's a great move by Green Bay.
It is a great move by Green Bay. They still got some competition. And Detroit actually added a player that his presence is going to be compounded by the fact that they're getting Aiden Hutchinson back. We always talk about how the front and back work together. I think DJ Reed and his ability to jump routes and to provide man-to-man coverage and be sticky is going to allow Aiden Hutchinson to get home. Check this out from my man, Matt Derry.
First and foremost, DJ Reed has been spectacular in practices, in scrimmages, everything that the Lions have asked the free agent signee to do, he's done. He has stepped up and really looks like a guy that is ready to be a top flight corner in this league, ready to be a shutdown corner for a team. And he's been great. So the worry that maybe he's switching leagues, going from the AFC to the NFC, maybe he's going to need some time to adjust. So far, so good with DJ Reed.
I think he's going to be a real good addition for the reasons I stated before we saw that clip, Dave.
Yeah, look, DJ Reed, I got to see the Commanders joint practice against the New York Jets last year, and DJ Reed was a Jets player that popped off the practice field to me. And, Wig, I'm trying to do my job, right? So I'm not there watching Jets. I'm there watching Commanders. So when a Jets player pops off the field, you know that they popped off the field for a reason. When he became a free agent, I wanted the Commanders to go after him, full disclosure. So I'm happy to hear that he's doing well where he's at, even though he's not where I want him to go. That being said, I'm going to tell you who the biggest contender to the Green Bay Packers is, Wig. You ready for this? Because it's not the Detroit Lions. It's not the Minnesota Vikings. But it's also not the Chicago Bears. You know what it is, Wig? It's health. It's health.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. If you're a Packers fan or if you're an NFC North fan, you know what I'm talking about. That wide receiver group, that's a big challenge. That is arguably the biggest rival the Green Bay Packers have had in the last few years is health, especially in that wide receiver room, but across the board. If the Green Bay Packers stay healthy, Wig, with everything going on in Chicago, with the Lions losing both their coordinators, with the Minnesota Vikings rolling out J.J. McCarthy, there's no way they lose this division. Nope. If they can't stay healthy, that is when one of these other teams are going to rise up. And again, this is on September 3rd, right? Bear in mind, I have not seen the Lions play a game with these new coordinators. I haven't seen Ben Johnson coach a real game, and we haven't seen J.J. McCarthy play a meaningful snap in the NFL yet. So that is where this opinion is coming from. As it stands September 3rd, the only thing staying in the way in the Green Bay Packers is health.
There's a team, when we get to segment 3, we're going to talk about these contenders. There's a team that I believe is one of the 3 or 4 best coached teams in the league, offense and defense, that has a really good offensive line and a really good front seven, and one of the best wide receivers in the league. I'm talking about the Minnesota Vikings. I got them picking. I'm picking them to finish dead last in that division. I'll tell you why in just a second here on Locked On NFL. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is right around the corner, and you can feel the buzz, man. Fantasy football season is here. Everyone's researching, drafting, and building their championship squads. If you haven't joined the league yet, now's the time. and it's happening on Yahoo Fantasy. This year I'm playing fantasy football on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran creating your millionth league. With season kickoff on September 4th, now is the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers so many fun ways to compete. You want more ways to play? The brand new Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine League mode is where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated weekly until one is left standing. Want to play instantly with friends? Try the new Draft with Friends mode. Prefer the classics? Go get your crew together and head-to-head yourself to death in a private league. No crew, no problem. Join a public league. It's the easiest way to play. The NFL season kicks off September 4th, so don't wait. Start your league now. Draft at yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. That's yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. And today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season, like I said, is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Hey, man, look, I love FanDuel because you can get in on the action at any point, before the game starts, while the game starts, or even you can even try to set yourself up to way if you can name how the game is going to end, you can win you some money. So if you're ready to play, you should be. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. With my man David Harrison here, and we are Locked On NFL. That's what it is, man. We're talking about the NFC and AFC North. Now we got to get to contenders. The third team in each one of those respective divisions that we believe has a chance to do some damage. As much as I hate to say this, I like a good offensive team. I really like it because it creates an exciting game, especially when they have a bad offensive line and you get a chance to see their quarterback running around like a gazelle, getting chased around by a bunch of cheaters. And that's what Joe Burrow has done too often. Listen to the biggest issue that might cause the Bengals not to be able to challenge both the Ravens and the Steelers.
We're not sweating Dylan Fairchild right now. The way we're sweating some of the questions on defense based on what we saw in the preseason. And again, it's preseason. So after week one, after Myles Garrett and Mason Graham, this could be a totally different conversation. With the things that we're worried about with this offensive line. But right now, it's which right guard option are we going with? We're excited about Amari Smith. We're excited about healthy Orlando Brown. We're excited about rookie Dylan Fairchild after what he showed in the preseason. We're excited about the work Scott Peters has done with this unit, with this one big question at right guard, which, to be fair, is a big question, but feels significantly different now with Dalton Risner in the building and the perceived floor he gives you in pass protection if he does end up needing to.
Hey, man, that offensive line, we had this conversation for the last 5-6 years. That's been the problem. They know it. They keep trying to address it halfway. They ain't poured enough resources into it, if you ask me.
Yeah. I always go back.
This is your favorite team, right?
I always go back to Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, man. It's hard to be a good football team if you're bad in the trenches. And the Cincinnati Bengals are bad in both trenches. I mean, they got Trey Hendrickson. They got a first-round pick on the other side of him. That's great. We'll see what he turns into. But outside of Trey Hendrickson, they're bad on both sides of the ball at the line of scrimmage. They got some good pieces, but as a unit, just not up to snuff, right? And despite all that, Joe Burrow who should have been the MVP. If we picked MVPs based on actual production and actual merit, Joe Burrow would have been the MVP because the only reason the Bengals were even sniffing the playoffs last year was Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. If they don't have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, if they have pretty much any other quarterback receiver duo in the NFL, and there's a lot of good ones out there, I don't think they win 6 games. You know what I mean? That being said, man, the Bengals, the only reason the Bengals aren't going to finish dead last in the AFC North is because the Cleveland Browns are still in the AFC North.
Ooh, I love it, man. I love that stuff, man. We ain't gonna even mention the Cleveland Browns. I almost wanted to mention them. I was gonna put a little clip up from Spencer and tell you Spencer's gonna tell you how the season's gonna go, and then just put a clip up of Spencer just blinking his eyes, going, and then cut it off because that's pretty much he ain't gonna have a whole bunch of stuff to be talking about. Now, I think the Minnesota Vikings are very good. I don't trust the quarterback. I don't trust the fact that I don't think they trust the quarterback. Jordan Addison is suspended. I'm going to say the upstart Chicago Bears and Ben Johnson and Caleb and all of that money that they spent on the offensive line is going to work for them. I think they're going to make it tough. I also think both teams at the top, you won't see 15, 14, and 13 wins. You're going to see like 12. So that means that those bottom teams are going to have a chance to really, really make up the difference. And that's why I have the Bears barely coming in third place, but still it won't be good enough to make the playoffs. Listen to Lauren Cox of Locked On Bears.
You look at the rebuilt Chicago Bears offensive line, and you're certainly expecting a lot of improvement from that group up front. That if then the offensive line is better with the additions they made, Caleb Williams will have more time to throw. Caleb Williams will have more of that structure to be able to work off of. And then the running game will be improved as well. They'll be back to a more effective rushing attack. DeAndre Swift can be back to 1,000-yard rusher, and you can rotate in guys like Roshan Johnson and Kyle Monangai in there and have a well-balanced backfield attack that can then also take more of that pressure off of Caleb Williams, make him have to do less.
There you go. I just think they have weapons. I think when you really look at Caleb's season, statistically, he didn't struggle, but that's where numbers don't tell you the whole truth. He kind of struggled when you watch the game. Lost that weird game in Washington because the dude didn't know how to act. I just think they're going to improve enough, and the top of the division will come back enough. And because McCarthy, even though I don't think he's going to be a bust, I do think they're going to get out to a little bit of a slow start because of him. And because of that, I think the Bears are going to sneak up and finish in third place.
I think the Bears are going to finish in second place in the NFC North. I think the Lions are going to finish in third place, and I think it's going to be very close, right? I don't think it's not like it's going to be a major gap between the two. And I'm going to be completely honest here. The reason I feel that way is because of my confidence in Adam Peters. To be fully transparent here, so Adam Peters, general manager. I know someone's going to hate me saying this. General manager of the Washington Commanders. Listen, he's the general manager that I cover. He and Josh Harris and an entourage or a group of people from the Washington Bears franchise took a private plane. They were flying to Michigan to go interview Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. But it was really Ben Johnson, right? Everybody knows it was Ben Johnson. They flew Dan Quinn in on a commercial airline, and nobody even picked him up at the airport, Wig. Now, they end up getting Dan Quinn, and nobody's regretting it. Everybody loves it. It's the perfect choice, all that stuff. But Ben Johnson was the guy they were going to get. I've come to see Adam Peters as an evaluator, as a decision maker, as a judgment of character and a judgment of leaders. Adam Peters hasn't really missed yet in my book. So if Adam Peters had enough faith and confidence in Ben Johnson as a leader of his team to get on a private jet to go out there and try to woo him, then the part of the equation in Ben Johnson that I've been telling you all this time that I'm not sure of is he a leader when it comes time to lead men? I'm gonna trust Adam Peters' judgment and my reading between the lines of what their intent was by flying to Michigan, and that Ben Johnson is going to be that leader of men. If he is, and those roster is improved the way that it is, they have the running backs. Let's not forget when the Lions drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, people were stunned, shocked, terrible pick. When they signed David Montgomery, it wasn't, oh, man, what a coup. They got David Montgomery. It was, oh, man, a Bears running back's going to Detroit. That was the storyline, is that rivalry. So let's not pretend that when Ben Johnson got his hands on David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, that they were David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs that they are today. So they've got two very good backs in Chicago that Ben Johnson could potentially turn into the next great duo in this NFL, in this league. Caleb Williams is certainly a capable quarterback. There's not a thing that I see Jared Goff do that I don't think that Caleb Williams can do other than be tall, right? And that defense, I think, it needs a little bit more credit. The question really is going to come down to this. How fast does it take the Detroit Lions team to get under solid footing with their offensive coordinator, defense coordinator being swapped out? That's a huge situation. It could go really well. It could go really poorly. It could be middle ground. Even if it's middle ground, how long does it take for them to get things rolling? And how long does it take Ben Johnson to fully get the Bears rolling? So basically, because of my faith in Adam Peters' ability to evaluate leaders of men, I'm going to give Ben Johnson the benefit of the doubt here in this conversation. and say I think the Bears are going to come in second place in the NFC North.
That's bold, brother. That is more bold than even I would have suggested you be. But I did this because I've been doing this the last couple of days because all of our divisional previews are out. Hey, man, last week you got all of these different previews, and it's not too late to binge every Locked On divisional preview. Be the most informed NFL fan in an 8-episode series, bringing you every division winner, breakout star, and Super Bowl contender. Find the link in the description of the Locked On NFL playlist on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Dave and I appreciate you spending 31 minutes and some change with us today. We realize your time is very valuable, and we don't like wasting it. So hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time here on Locked On NFL.